Hello, Doctor Who fans, and welcome to my fourth Doctor Who review, where I review a different kind of Doctor Who story, Marco Polo. Yes, this is going to be a very difficult one to review because essentially this story does not exist anymore, or at least not in its entirety. Basically, I am reviewing the reconstructed part of this story. Some very dedicated fans have managed to edit a reconstruction of this story through images and audio. The audio of the actual episode has been recovered, but the visuals unfortunately are not. So the episodes have been removed from the BBC archives. So as of now, we do not have Marco Polo in its entirety. However, it is on Daily Motion and it is available to watch. I will put the link in the description so you can watch all 7 parts. It is a 7-part story in its entirety. There is a brief 30-minute reconstruction on the Edge of Destruction DVD, but I thought, to hell with it. If there's a more complete version, I'll review that, which is what I'm reviewing. Anyway, let's get to the plot. So, the plot of Marco Polo is arriving in Central Asia in 1289. The Doctor and his companions join the caravan of the most famous Venetian explorer Marco Polo as it makes its way from the snowy heights of the Pamir Plateau across the treacherous Gobi Desert and through the heart of Imperial Cathay. Having witnessed many incredible sights and survived a variety of dangers, they arrive at the mighty Kublai Khan's summer palace in Shangtu, where the Doctor strikes up an extraordinary friendship with the now-aged ruler. They move on at last to the even more sumptuous imperial palace at Peking, where the travellers save the Khan from an assassination attempt by the Mongol warlord Tagana, supposedly on a peace mission, before departing once more in the TARDIS. That is essentially your plot of Marco Polo. So, Marco Polo. The first thing to say is that it's very sad that this story doesn't technically exist anymore, or at least not in its complete form as the other ones did. I really wanted to like this one. I really wanted to like it, guys. And I do consider the fact that it is a reconstruction, and of course most of the episode is missing. But I don't know. I really didn't like this one. I'm sorry. It's not, as I said, I'm aware that it is a reconstruction. Oh, fucking messages. I would appreciate it if people stop messaging me when I'm recording. It would be nice. Anyway, basically, yeah, I'm aware that it's a reconstruction and that, you have to respect that it's not going to look as completely flash as it would a normal episode. I understand that. But even for me, even though you can kind of follow what's going on, like, for me, the problem with this story is that it just drags. This story, for me, is just way too slow. I could not get into it, no matter how hard I tried. I patiently watched all 7 parts in the hope of at some point the story would pick up, but for me, sadly, it didn't. I mean, there are some interesting ideas in there, and there's some interesting conflicts, but not really half as interesting as anything that happens in the previous 3 stories. So it was a rather big disappointment. I mean, the good things are that you have, from what I can tell from the images, you have some interesting production design. There's a bigger budget for this story, and it's nice that they're going out to a more international place. So it feels like there's a bit more scope with this story, kind of like the Daleks. So like they're taking things to a bigger scope. They're trying to make it epic. So I quite like that, and I like the story's kind of like a nice journey. It's like a quest, and it's told. There are parts of it that are told through the perspective of Marco Polo himself when he's writing his journal and stuff. So that was very cool. That was very nice. But the rest of the story I didn't give a shit about, because basically they're just trudging along. That's really it. So the performances are nice. You know, William Hartnell, well, the vocal performances, I should say, because I can't really physically see the performers, but the vocal performances are very good. William Hartnell was the Doctor, William Russell as Ian Chesterton, Jacqueline Hill as Barbara Wright, and Carole Ann Ford as Susan. All do a great job here. The supporting characters, I didn't really find that interesting. What's the villain's name again? Tagana. He's all right, I guess. But I just completely lost interest in this story. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm aware of the fact that it's a reconstruction, and the story is technically missing. If the story were there visually, I may have been a bit more hooked. I mean, I like the design of it. There's some really nice designs. And, you know, they really spent the budget on this, so I have a lot of respect for them for that. But the pacing was awful. Really awful. 7 parts, for me, was way too long. This story should have been 4 parts. No more than 5. Seriously, 7 parts for this story. No. I like the character of Po Ching as well. She was very good. She was the best supporting character. She added a lot of humanity to the story. She had a lot of sort of, because her character was quite innocent. I quite liked that. That was nice. I can't really call this a terrible episode. Not terrible episode, terrible story. But it's, for me, very disappointing. And I can't really say much more because this is a reconstruction and I'm not seeing everything that's going on. I think it's trying to be, you know, so big and ambitious that it kind of just doesn't know what to do with itself. I mean, it tries to develop characters, it tries to introduce conflicts, but for me, it just comes up a little short. It's a big letdown in terms of pacing, and plot-wise, it's all right, but again, my interest was lost. I thought it was an absolute drag to watch, really, in all honesty. But hey ho, that's life. They can't all be good. So that's really all I can say. It's a really brief review, but again, there's not much I can say. So I'm going to rate Marco Polo, the reconstruction. I'm going to have to give it a 5 out of 10. Sorry, guys. I mean, if you like the story, that's fair enough. But for me, there just wasn't enough there to constitute it as a good story. However, we return back to visual mode next time with the Keys of Marinus. The Keys of Marinus. So until then, folks, thank you all for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.